Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anna and I'm a vegan living in London, and I'm originally from the US and Japan. And today I thought I would do something a little bit different. I think, if you've been following along on my channel, then you're probably used to my taste test kind of videos, but I felt like it was getting a bit repetitive. I wanted to change some things up. So this week is more of a chit chat session where I share with you my thoughts so far on living in London. Before I moved to London, I was living in Tokyo, and I moved here in December of 2020. So it's been around, 7 months now. And so I've had some time to settle in, to experience life without as many restrictions as there were when I first got here. And so yeah, now that life is a little bit more normal and I've been more settled into life in London, I wanted to share with you guys the 3 best things and 3 worst things I've experienced since moving to the UK. And these are all very personal thoughts. This is not meant to be a generalized thing. I want to make that clear. This is just about my own personal life. So without further ado, let's get into it. Maybe we should start with the negative first, because it's better to end on a positive note. So let's start with the 3 worst things that I've experienced since living in London. So the first thing is that it's been quite difficult in terms of making friends, and I guess forming friendships, because when I was in Tokyo, I had a pretty good group of friends, and we all hung out together all the time on the weekends, and it was cool because we all became friends together at the same time through work. So, there was no separation between Joseph's friends and my friends for the most part. There were some friends that didn't overlap, but for the most part, our core friend group were friends with both of us. So it was just really easy to plan things and hang out. Whereas now, that's not really the case, because I have a few friends here that I know from high school and from childhood, but I don't really have colleagues here because my job is fully online, and it's a very small company, so I haven't really been able to make a core group of friends through work, and I've just kind of been making friends through friends here and there, and I've been really lucky because a lot of people that I know from my life in Japan and from my life in the US have somehow gathered in London. So it's not I don't know anybody, but still there were times where I felt really, really lonely, and I actually even had kind of a mental breakdown one day where I felt really, really negatively about myself, to a point that I've never reached before, where I really just hated myself. And that stemmed from my loneliness, my kind of just my self-pity of not having friends, because it was on a day where it was really nice out and people were out picnicking in the park with their friends, and I was walking around by myself alone. It just really hit me that day. But it comes with time. I think over time I will settle down and make new friends, and yeah. Another more negative thing, kind of similar I guess to the friends, is I'm farther away from my family than I was obviously when I was living in Japan, because my family also lived in Japan. We're also unable to see Joseph's family, and that was one of the big things about moving to London, was we would be closer to Joseph's family, who lives in France. But due to COVID and the border restrictions, we are not really able to freely travel to France, for now at least. And perhaps that'll get better in the next year, but it's just been really tough for this past half of the year, because we were supposed to go to France over New Year's and we couldn't, and we wanted to go this summer earlier, but we haven't been able to. And actually, I haven't even met Joseph's family yet. We've been dating for about 2.5 years, and I haven't met his family simply because they live in France. And so it just is sad, but I will be going to France next month, so that's about to change. But yeah, it's just been hard because my sister lives in Seattle and my parents live in Japan, and my brother goes to university in Pennsylvania. So it's just really hard to coordinate times to all talk together, and it just takes more effort, I guess, to stay in touch. But things could be worse, I suppose. The third thing is kind of silly, but the third biggest kind of negative factor of living in the UK is the food. And I know this is cliche, like everyone says British food is shitty, but it's not even like British food is shitty, it's just like the quality of the restaurants here are subpar. And I feel like the British food that I've had is good. Like the British people do their own food quite well, but when it comes to other cuisine, it's just like so mediocre. And I think I'm just spoiled coming from Tokyo, where everything is so good, from like kombini, onigiri to like random supermarket bentos to like you can get authentic cuisine of any country. And I feel like even if you spend like 500 yen on a meal in Japan, it's so high quality, it's so good. 500 yen is like $5. Whereas here you'll spend like 15 pounds on a meal, which is like $20, and it's just not good. It's not good. It's just average. And I feel like that's like the baseline here is like, it's just there have been very few meals that I've had here where I'm like, wow, this is really good. Most of the time it's just like, it was okay. Not memorable. I miss the quality of the food in Japan. But segueing into the 3 best things about living in London is also the food. I know. But it's because the vegan scene here is so much better than the vegan scene in Tokyo. Not even just like the number of restaurants here that are vegan friendly or are completely vegan, it's like the products too are just, there's so many vegan products. Like you go to a grocery store, there's an entire section dedicated to vegan meat, and most of the time things are labeled vegan when they are vegan, and there's so much like vegan ice cream. And if you go to a restaurant, even like the pubs here have vegan Sunday roast or like vegan burgers. Just like the most random places will accommodate you if you don't eat meat or dairy. And so it's just really nice, because in Japan that is not the case whatsoever. It is very, very difficult to be vegan in Japan. It is changing. Like I don't want to say that it's impossible to be vegan in Japan, because I was vegan in Japan and it was okay. It was fine. But just compared to London, like I feel like I'm just a normal person. Like I don't feel like I'm an alien by being vegan in London. So that's just been really nice. And the resources too, like there's so many accounts and websites dedicated to veganism and discovering vegan food and recipes and stuff like that. And it's exciting to be a part of that in Japan, because you're kind of, you're the pioneer, you're the one driving the conversation, the movement there. Whereas here you're kind of just like, you don't really stand out. Like just because I'm vegan doesn't really mean anything here. Whereas in Japan you're like, it's wow, you're a vegan, like what does that mean? And you get to educate people. So in that sense it's nice, I guess, in Japan too, but it's just so much more convenient in London. Another good thing about living in London is I was able to pivot my career, which this is like the most unexpected thing that happened from moving here. I thought I would struggle, I thought I wouldn't find a job, and I did struggle actually. Like I didn't get called back for any interviews for like any of the jobs that I applied to initially. And right now I'm working at a content marketing agency that works between English-speaking countries and Japan. So we help Japanese companies that want to localize their content in English, or English-speaking companies that want to localize their content for Japan. And so I'm doing so much more creative things now, like copywriting and blog writing and editing and all these things that I've always wanted to do, but I never did because I didn't have a chance to until now. Because I started my career at an ad agency in New York, where I was doing account management, which is related to what I'm doing now, but I was doing more sales and project management. And then in Tokyo, I didn't have any confidence in myself to try to land a job where it would require Japanese, because most of the jobs in Japan require like a very high level of Japanese, and I just didn't have the confidence to go for any job like that. So I was a recruiter, which is also sales. And then through my blogging and my extracurricular kind of like side jobs of blog writing, article writing, I got this job. Yeah, it's just been a really great change, and I'm so happy. And I just encourage anyone, like, if you have a passion, do it on the side. Try to make connections through that job, and you don't know what's gonna happen. That could become a full-time gig eventually. The third good thing about moving to London is that, you know, I never really thought that I would live in London. Like, when I was in college, I had some friends who were studying abroad in London, and I was like, why would you go to London? Like, everyone speaks English there. It's not exciting. It's just another big city. And I really had like no interest in London. And so when my boyfriend Joseph, when he told me that he was being transferred here, I was kind of like, okay, whatever. I don't know anything about London. All I know is the food is shitty, and I don't know, it's posh maybe, like the Beatles. I just had a very, like, I guess, American perspective of London. So moving here, I've just realized that the UK is such a beautiful country, and I don't know why I had written it off, especially London, because London is a really beautiful city. Like, it's so green, there's parks everywhere, there's dogs, there's children, it's just so family friendly. And I guess, I don't know, coming from Tokyo, you just don't really see kids. Like, you just don't see people, like little children running around making noise. The playgrounds are always packed, there's ice cream trucks, the parks are like amazing. I'm obsessed with the parks here. The greenery is just incredible. Like, in the middle of the city, all the big parks here have lakes and ducks and all these animals. You even see foxes roaming around the city sometime. And so it's just like, I don't know, it's really impressed me, this city. And UK as well. I mean, I haven't explored the UK so much so far, but from what I've seen, you know, I've gone to Seven Sisters, I've gone to Wales, we've done a few hikes just outside London. So what I've seen so far is really beautiful, and I'm just excited to keep exploring and see what the UK has to offer. And I think with the COVID restrictions, it's kind of been a blessing in disguise, because we haven't been able to travel outside of the UK, so we've had to force ourselves to explore the UK itself. It has been really nice to just explore the country. And yeah, those were my 3 good and 3 bad things, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you learned something. Let me know if you've lived in Japan or the UK and what you've thought of the countries as well. I'm very curious to hear. And if you have any video recommendations, ideas for me, I'd love to hear from you as well. Please subscribe if you're not subscribed. I make new videos every Monday. Alright, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you again next week. Bye!